Hype or hope? E-teaching with lecture broadcast.
Author, Professor Dr. Stefan Bieletzker, Germany.
Is or isn't lecture broadcast e-learning? Is it hype or hope for universities? How to reach a productivity plateau? What is the most critical success factor? Let's see.
The idea of e-learning passed a peak of inflated expectations in the 90s of the last century, and went into a deep valley of disillusionment, and many organizations stopped their engagement up to today. But a hill of enlightenment has been reached, new benefits are showing up. And nowadays many organizations use e-learning in a very efficient way. They reached the plateau of productivity.
Besides that general hype cycle of e-learning, there are many small hype cycles for every new e-learning concept. Part of one of these small hype cycles are the virtual rooms. Virtual rooms are web-based places, which enable students and lecturers to meet synchronously or simultaneously in a media-integrated and interactive way. A typical kind of meeting in a virtual classroom is a lecture. Nowadays, we climb up the hill of enlightenment for lecture broadcast concepts.
Where to locate lecture broadcast in the universe of e-learning? E-learning, in a narrow sense, is learning in a way which is independent of time and independent of space. An example would be a web-based training, WBT. On one hand, this time independence is an advantage, because learners choose their own pace of studying. But there are disadvantages on the other hand. For example, a high level of learning discipline is needed, and socializing isn't easy if students are working alone. Amazingly, lecture broadcast isn't e-learning in a narrow sense, because it is not independent of time. It only belongs to the world of e-learning if we define e-learning in a wider sense, that is, as the use of electronic information and communication technologies in education. Anyway, lecture broadcast can, and should, be part of a blended learning concept.
Blended learning tries to be a good mixture of the advantages of traditional presence learning and e-learning. It tries to combine the best of both worlds. And with lecture broadcast, the traditional presence learning can get space independent, too, because the presence is situated in a virtual room. Lecture broadcast is therefore a kind of virtual presence learning.
At my favorite sample, the German University of Applied Science FHM, the lecture broadcast has been established for over 10 years. In some groups the percentage of lecture broadcast is about 50%. The acceptance by the students is good, especially because the learning process is socialized. Direct feedback is possible and it is space independent and time saving. Maybe more important, the acceptance by the lecturers is usually good, too. This depends on the fact that the change of lecturer methods is low. Slides are shown, explanations are voiced and questions are discussed, like in the traditional class.
Eventually we think there are, according to Figure 1, some success factors for good quality teaching in virtual classrooms. First, available technology like hard and software or bandwidth are a core restriction. The virtual room should be characterized by a low barrier to entry, and that it can easily be joined by all participants. Second, also a necessary, but not sufficient condition, is the organizational integration. The organizational integration of lecture broadcast into the academic processes of planning, communicating, and giving access legitimation are essential. For example, the integration of the virtual rooms into the campus management system of the university is desirable and important. Third, cultural acceptance and acknowledgement on the academic and maybe even societal side is beneficial. Fourth, but especially important, are the three combinational factors of lecturer and student and topic, which are wrapped around the core restrictions. The figure shows in the outer ring some of the beneficial aspects.
The worst case imaginable is a misfit of lecturer-topic student. If, for example, a technophobe extroverted lecturer is forced to use a virtual room to teach a group of students, who are in-house anyway, in a topic which is a haptic one like stable side position in emergency care, which better can be demonstrated practically?
The best case imaginable is a fit of lecturer-topic student. A technophile and motivated lecturer, who teaches part-time students, who otherwise would have a long commute. to be taught in a topic like strategies of marketing and advertising. In every curriculum, topics can in advance be identified as suitable or unsuitable for the virtual room. Moreover, it is possible to identify which student group is more suited than others. Today, students are digital natives and mostly know how to operate a browser, a virtual room, and how to communicate in a virtual surrounding. But what about the lecturers? Their teaching behavior is often unpredictable. It seems to be that the most difficult part is to judge the suitability of the lecturers. They are the most critical success factor.
One more remark. On top of that, it is important that, if lecture broadcasts are recorded, the lecture service becomes a lecture record. A record, with its good reusability and good scalability, can be used by the lecturer or by the university to build up a library of records. Each record can be used in a moderated WBT. Therefore, if lecture broadcast is technically and organizationally embedded and culturally accepted, it can be an enabler and a binding key in a successful blended learning concept.
The author, Professor Dr. Stefan Bielecka, wrote the text in 2015 and it was slightly adapted and audio recorded in 2023. In the author's opinion, the idea of the three success factors, the fit of topic and the fit of students and the fit of lecturer, has now, in post-pandemic times, gained in relevance rather than lost it.